If you grew up like me, one of the things that characterized our growing up was the whole. So we used to have this Saturday morning thing where TV stations, and this was way before the era of satellite dish TVs. So I mean, DSTVs, StarTimes, and the rest. Those guys were not yet a thing. But one of the things that characterized our growing up early in those years was that on Saturday mornings we used to have this regular TV stations show cartoons. And trust me, cartoons were like one of my things then. I think my love for cartoons fell off very recently, maybe like 7 years ago. Because I can remember as far back as when I was 16, 17, I used to tell people that Tom and Jerry is still my very favorite cartoon till tomorrow. No matter how annoying it is. I think just 2 years ago I was trying to read up and see how systemic the pattern is. Because then watching Tom and Jerry on your regular, just your normal TV stations. So in Benin here, we used to have ITV, EBS, and stuff. Now, something I noticed was that around a few times when I would watch, I started discovering that there's this thing about Tom and Jerry where when EBS, two TV stations, shows their own Tom and Jerry, they'll show episodes of when Tom and Jerry were enemies. When ITV shows when Tom and Jerry are friends. So, like, it didn't always used to make sense. I'm like, are these guys enemy or friends? So I started doing some reading into it, and I found that apparently it was a stretch. Tom and Jerry, the cartoon series ran for a very long time, and so that's why we had all of this stuff. It made so much sense. But this is why I mentioned Tom and Jerry, right? So I used to watch these cartoons on Sunday mornings, and there was this thing that we noticed. Why am I saying Sunday? On Saturday mornings. So this cartoon, Justice League, that of course Marvel movies has Marvel DC. God of mercy. Let me not embarrass myself here. Lord. Who makes Justice League? I think it's DC, right? I don't know anyone, but because that's just by the way, I'm not a superhero comic person. Not the comics, not the books, not the cartoons, not the movies, even till now. But one thing was regular, and it's the fact that when we used to watch this thing, I would notice. So your cartoons have this your regular cliche where there's always a main protagonist and the antagonist. So Justice League had all of your superheroes, right? And all of them would be going up against the evil guys, the antagonist, who are either trying to take something or trying to, usually, which is more popular, trying to burn the world, rule the city, or stuff. Now I'll notice when I'm watching all of the time that I'll see them, they're fighting with superheroes, Green Lantern, I don't know if there was Wonder Woman then. I think Wonder Woman, also Vision, and all of those guys, and we're beating them. Then I always used to eagerly anticipate and waiting for Superman, because I felt like Superman was, their load. Then Superman would show up, fly up in the skies, has this thing from his eyes where he can, lights and pierces and tears, stuff like that. And then when he gets to the ground, they'll fight. And when they'll be fighting, I'll be, as a child, you are eagerly waiting for when they finally defeat this guy or when he finally surrenders. But sometimes I will notice that after a while, they'll start beating Superman, right? So I'm not beating my protagonist, and I'm getting emotional, I'm getting angry, I'm vexed, because in my head I'm like, you're Superman. Why you go want me them they want you? Sorry. But beating him, and I'm just walked up and stuff. So eventually the battle would end. Superman would narrowly win. Now that thing is always a media thing, right? It's always a media perception, and somehow I think it's a perception in the world. The protagonist and antagonist theory is what I mean. Because I mean that there's always a protagonist and an antagonist every single time. I don't mean the battle, and I don't mean who wins, right? So that thing moved from cartoons into movies. Now, a lot of the Hollywood movies you watch, Hollywood and Hollywood movies still have this cliche, antagonist, protagonist, and stuff, right? So you'd have, and then the actor and booze, but it's childish to remember, which is weird. Did you notice tomorrow I cannot spell that word booze? How do they spell it? Please, if you can spell it, tell me. I don't know, how do they spell that word booze? Because the only Boaz I know is B-O-A-Z, and that's Boaz in the book of Ruth, but I digress. So we have this antagonist and protagonist and stuff, everybody's fighting, this killing him and stuff, right? So I noticed something very interesting. What I noticed was, it seemed as though what happened in cartoons moved into movies, right? The protagonist would always narrowly win. And then, but just what became different was, the older I grew, the more I realized that that thing was a bait, or is a lure, because it's false, right? That's not how it happens in the real life. And I think it's to keep you on the edge. Every single Hollywood movie has it. Watch a lot of movies, you see where the protagonist always wins last minute, and it's by some form of luck, chance, or something. It's like, even right now thinking about it, I think these movie guys want us to have the perception that there are a lot of factors that contribute into the protagonist winning, and one of them is the factor of the unknown. So yeah, but that's why I say this. So I noticed that for a while, and then the older I grew, the more reserved I became, right? So what I noticed was my perception started to change. And then now I watch movies, and most especially action movies, I am never emotional again. Because I remember one action movie I watched that I enjoyed, that I have not been able to see again, although I want to see it, titled The Punisher. And I think they killed his family or something, and he comes back at the last part of the movie for a revenge, and his revenge is so good. I think the movie even has a game. I digress with all of these things I'm saying, but yeah, back to the point. So would have this whole thing, and then even while watching movies, as a young boy growing up, I would also notice, because I used to watch a lot of action movies with my dad, which is one thing I think I want to do again. Maybe we should do it and watch action movies together. A lot of things we used to do together then. So watch action movies with my dad, right? So we would go and we'll just have this whole thing. So one day, I sat down to think about it. How exactly does this idea, how does it weigh out? Is it false because that's not how it happens in real life, or is it false because that's just how I think about it? And I'm thinking about it right now, and my conclusion is that there are no superheroes. Hear me out. Every single one of us at some point is looking for a superhero, right? You're looking for not necessarily superhero, but we like that we have people who we can look up to. Not necessarily mentors, just maybe people mentor sometimes. But the thing is, it's good, but there's a problem. We have a false perception of the people we sometimes look up to. We see them without mistakes. We expect them to always be right. We are worried or we are shocked when they do certain things. Sometimes when they do what is wrong, we convince ourselves that we are the ones that do not understand the full story, that they are always right. At least when we are younger or when we just start getting to know them. But the thing is, the older we grow, the more shocked we become. Now, I remember while I was young, I lived with my grandparents at some point. And I remember there was a clergyman, a popular clergyman in Nigeria. This story I'm about to say is verifiable, it happened. Right? A clergyman of a certain denomination in Nigeria, news withheld obviously. Who I was young, I think I should have been around the ages of 8 to 11. And I remember that he was charged to court for a case. He's leading a large congregation, not just a single church. Churches with branches, and the rest. So he was charged to court because apparently, though married and whether with children or without children, I can't remember. Though married, but I think without children, apparently he had slept with someone who worked with him. And so he was charged to court. I remember my grandpa going to court every time that case was in court for a long time. My grandpa was always attending court proceedings. I remember being young and discovering about that story when my grandpa told it. I could not believe it because I'm like, he's a pastor. Pastors are not supposed to do that. I think he was charged to court for sleeping somebody and then the lady became pregnant, and whether or not he told her to, I don't even know against it. But then he was charged to court for something relating, but that came out as a news, right? So I was quite young and it kept bugging my mind. What do you mean by you slept with somebody in the church? Because I felt you are leading the congregation, right? You are leading people. In some light, in some way, you are a superhero. You're not supposed to make mistakes. You're not supposed to lose. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to do that type of thing. You're a superhero. And then that case lasted in court for stuff. I can't even remember what the judgment was eventually again. I can't remember. I didn't follow up the story as much as I stopped living with my parents and I grew up. But here's the thing. So I always wondered, why do we expect our superheroes, the people we look up to, why do we expect them to be superheroes? It's in how we talk, it's in our expectations, it's in even our leaders regularly. It's as though when someone is above you, you have the tendency to see them as infallible. And it's from the idea or the thing where we want to have people lead us. I think I heard someone, my podcast in chief, someone I respect, I think I heard her say that it's a human thing to want leaders. It's a human trait to want people to lead them. We are searching for it in a way. We want people that we can look up to. If I told you that something was done this way, chances are you will not believe me. But if I told you a certain leader will do this, you'd believe because you want to be led. It's fine, it's good. It's good because, of course, we are being led as Christians, but we want humans to lead us. And I'm just wondering about all the pegs where we now have our bias drawn out, blindfolding our eyes, colored. We can't see beyond our nose. We expect that they should not fail. We don't say it, but we expect it, right? We expect it. I'm just wondering about all of the times where that happened. And I'm saying, what if our desire to want to be led is bringing out a thing where we are expecting that the people who lead us become superheroes? We never want them to make mistakes, right? Mistakes is not something that they can afford. You can't make mistakes. We don't tell them, but we expect it from them. We don't say it out. We also expect them to always be right, always know what they are doing. When they make mistakes, as little, when it doesn't affect us, we cover up for them, right? We say, no, you don't understand them, you don't get it. But we defend them, we shield them, we protect them, which, like I've said, is nothing wrong. But what if I told you you're superheroes? The people who you've made your superheroes, what if I told you they were human? What if I told you they were humans like you? What if I didn't have to tell you? What if you knew, but you've somehow forgotten the truth? Your superheroes are humans like you. They would make mistakes. You should expect them to. And this whole thing of wanting people to lead us, which is not bad, should also make us see that as much as a person is human, that element of extraordinariness is just a weird way to say that we do not believe in our ability to be really us as humans. I don't know if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is, we do not think that every human is human. We think that there are some humans who are superhumans. Exactly. So, the people, I think I heard Professor Emmanuel say, he said, the only reason why Superman looks fantastic and spectacular is because he's on this world. If you follow the movie, from where he is, the giftings and the powers that he has, or from where he comes from, according to the comic, the giftings and the powers that he has is what everybody has, right? So he looks fantastic to you because he's on a different earth. So that means where he is, everything is normal, everyone is the same, everyone is equal. God has gifted some persons, but you should also see that they are humans. They too sometimes can make mistakes. And I mean your boss, I mean your parents, I mean your pastor, I mean your leaders, now what I want this thing to do in your mind is not make you rebellious towards them as much as it should make you prepare your heart for graciousness. Prepare your heart to be graceful when they fail. Not necessarily because, I knew it was always going to happen, as much as it is. You are human. The best of us will always be human. I say this a lot because it worries me. It troubles my heart. I see how much expectations I have of the people who I lead. I remember an event in the book of Acts where Paul and his companion had performed some miracle and the people started worshipping them. And Paul rent his clothes. People started calling him God, and Paul said, no, rent his clothes. And said, feel it, look at me. I'm a man like you. This was the same Paul who his own errors or his own mistakes started long even before he became a minister. We didn't live in his time, so we can't say. But I'm certain that day-to-day life, there are probably some things that Paul may have done that, everyone may not have agreed with. wondering, are you sure we are not maybe stretching the boundaries of this thing? Your heroes cry. Your heroes sometimes are confused. I say this a lot because in recent times I have discovered that some of the people who I look up to are doing certain things that if I was younger I would not have believed they did. But sometimes when I see some of the things some people who I look up to do, I'm like, even me, I won't make that mistake. But when I say it, I remember, oh, that sounds like pride. It's actually pride. And I say, oh. If I stopped seeing them as superheroes and I stopped seeing them as extraordinary, as just extra, and then they are ordinary people with extra giftings. Maybe I will learn to extend a little more grace to them. This is the thought in my head today. This is what I've decided to bring you with. Until I come here on the next episode. It's Talking Joe.